Good morning and welcome to News First Prime Time Sunrise.
Today is the 26th of November 2014. A very good morning to you and welcome to this edition of Prime Time Sunrise. I'm Katharina Chang. Let's take a look at your headlines. Two candidates deposit their bonds for the upcoming presidential elections. Election monitors say that illegal election hoardings are displayed in numerous areas in the country. The JHU to announce their decision on whether they will support the common opposition candidate tomorrow. The 18th SAARC summit to commence in Nepal today. Now, the Election Secretariat says that bonds have been placed by two candidates from the accepted political parties for the presidential elections.
Additional Elections Commissioner U. Amarasekara said that MB Kaminamullo of the Okkamavasi Okkamarajuru party handed over his bonds to the Election Secretariat in Rajagiri yesterday. Meanwhile, leader of the Janasatha Peramuna Venerable Bhattaramulle Silaratnathera has placed his bonds for the presidential election. Placing of bonds for the presidential elections commenced last Monday, and the Election Secretariat says that bonds will be accepted until the 7th of December.
What are the election news? Election monitors point out that violating laws in the country by election hoardings are being displayed in all parts of the country. They point out that the display of illegal hoardings are against provincial council laws and the normal law of the country. According to election monitors, setting up election hoardings on expressways is the most extreme point of this violation. Executive Director of PAFRIL, which is an election monitoring body, Rohanetya Rache explains further.
They launched a massive propaganda campaign targeting the election. Photos of candidates have been displayed in all cities. If we take the election into consideration, there are still no official candidates. However, there are a few normal laws with regard to this. For example, provincial council institutes have a responsibility to maintain clean and beautiful environments. If cutouts have been displayed in a certain province, the provincial council can obtain tax money. They also have the right to remove them. Police can also act under the environmental law. Unfortunately, these laws are not implemented.
Meanwhile, Kirti Tennakoon, the executive director of CAFE, which is another election monitoring body, says that provincial councils are losing a lot of money by not charging tax money for hoardings that are displayed.
After the announcement of the presidential election 2015, there were 6 incidents of election violence, and 4 incidents out of the 6 very serious violence incidents are related to the using of firearms. And that itself indicates that at the very beginning of this presidential elections, we are receiving a very serious election violence incidents, because during the last elections, we have never seen these sort of using of firearms at the very beginning of the election. And in the same time, we have noticed over 1,800 cutouts were displayed. Most of them are related directly to the election campaigns of the presidential elections now throughout the country, mostly in the urban areas of the Colombo and other areas. And we have wrote to the Colombo Municipal Council and Kotte and Haduela areas to address the issue that these cutouts are not paid relevant taxes to the relevant local authorities. According to the Local Authority Act, whenever these sort of propaganda materials are displayed, they have to pay the relevant taxes to these local bodies. But in this case, most of the time, the political parties and politicians are doing their propaganda materials displayed on these urban areas. They are not paying taxes. So we request the mayor of Colombo and the other mayors and the chairmen of the Pradeshia Sabhas yesterday to address this issue. If they are not paying these relevant taxes, years, they can remove it. That's the most reasonable practice, what they are doing throughout the years, because they are taxing the small vendors, the teledrama producers and all that. But for these political acts, they are not charging that. And in the same time, we have read to the election commissioner to address this issue. Now we try to persuade the Auditor General that they have to address this issue, because so much of money has not collected to the revenues which has to come for these local authorities.
Meanwhile, SSP Ajit Arohan, a police media spokesperson, had this to say about the illegal hoarding displayed for the elections.
The final day of nomination is the 8th of November. So 8th of November, on the 8th of November, the election commissioner will declare the candidates in respect of the presidential election. Apart from that, their parties. So we are going to implement the election law from the 8th of November, because according to the Presidential Election Act, it stated about the candidates, their photos and the party symbols. All these items are prohibited. Cutouts or the banners, they are also prohibited according to the election law. But so far we cannot decide it. But if there are displays on roads, so according to the environmental laws, and apart from that local government laws, so action could be taken. But the election law cannot be implemented unless the election commissioner declares the candidates, and he has to accept the nominations from the parties, and thereafter he should declare it.
Jatika Helurime will announce their decision on whether or not they will support common opposition candidate Maithripala Sirisena for the upcoming presidential election tomorrow. Now, Chairman of the GHU, Venerable Athurilil Vatana Theruwa, said the decision will be made during a special meeting of the GHU, which will take place in Colombo tomorrow. The 18th SAARC Summit will focus on the theme of deeper regional integration for peace and prosperity, will be held in Kathmandu today. President Mahinda Rajapaksa will participate in the summit along with the leaders of the SAARC region.
Presidential spokesperson Mohan Samanaka said that President Rajapaksa will address the summit today. After the summit, President Rajapaksa will also hold bilateral talks with the leaders of the SAARC region. According to the presidential media unit, after arriving in Nepal last evening, President Rajapaksa visited Lord Buddha's birthplace of Lumbini.
Two persons sustained injuries in a shooting that took place by a group of robbers in the Balumhare area in Gampaha. Police say that the injured are currently receiving treatment at the Gampaha hospital. A construction material storekeeper in the area and another individual were shot in the Balumhare area last night. The burglars had been waiting till the storekeeper arrived at his home after closing up his store to steal the money. Area residents gathered at the location in which the incident occurred when the victim cried out in fear. The police media unit added that the thieves had carried out the shooting and then stole the money of the businessman in question and his wife's golden necklace.
This individual's son told me that there was a man who was being beaten by burglars. When we came here, the man who was shot first came through this way. We also saw a red car. The door was open. Gunshots were fired and they left. There were two people outside and two persons inside the car.
Investigations have commenced into the incident in order to apprehend the suspect. The Ministry of Cooperatives and Internal Trade has decided to purchase a kilogram of big onions at 90 rupees. Now, this system was implemented under the instruction of Minister Johnston Fernando. Thereby, by purchasing a big onion will commence at 12 noon today by the lorries deployed by Sathasa in the Dambulla area. Meanwhile, big onion farmers engaged in a protest yesterday in the Dambulla town, demanding that their produce be purchased at a fair price. The protesters charged that a stipulated price has not been given to their produce. Heavy traffic was reported in the Dambulla town due to the protest. International. Now on to some cricket news. Sri Lanka and England made their final preparations ahead of the one-day series which starts in Colombo today. The match is scheduled to get underway at 2:30 p.m. local time at the R. Premdas grounds in Colombo.
Addressing the media ahead of the game, Lahiri Thirimanne said that they are all ready for the game against the Englishmen.
We had a bad tournament in India, but boys practiced really hard in the past week. We had good couple of batting sessions, and some of our bowlers had specific bowling sessions too. So they all are ready for this game. We can't underestimate England team because they are world class players. Their top order is very much world class top order. So we have to get them out. So we have to make plans for getting them out. So it's not going to be easy. So we have to work hard.
Captain of the England team, Alastair Cook, notes that with just a few months remaining to the World Cup, the team is looking forward to make some really big improvements in a short space of time.
In terms of training, obviously, is not ideal with that. Our second practice game getting washed out. We can't control the weather, and I'm not sure we're going to control it over the next couple of weeks. The squad's in pretty good shape. Finney's just pulled up a little bit of a niggle from that training session we did on that washed out day. He'll go through the usual assessment over the next today. Obviously, he didn't bowl yesterday, and we'll see tomorrow morning about him. We do play less one-day cricket. I say the one different thing now is we have this chunk of one-day cricket which we haven't had. Well, certainly I've never had. We've got 6 months of it leading up to the World Cup. We're in the middle of that, and hopefully we can make some really big improvements in a short space of time.
And on entertainment news, the 2014 Miss World contestants congregated in London's South Bank in the Marriott Hotel Country Hall for a photo call ahead of the final ceremony on December 14th. 125 contestants representing countries from around the world took part in photo calls and interviews.
It really did mean the world to me to win the Miss World crown because it's something that I really wanted, because I wanted to help out in terms of charity work. It's always something that I wanted to do.
When you're beautiful, people look up to you, and when you're beautiful from inside, and when you present yourself really beautifully, and so you get the attention of people. And then you can inspire them or voice your opinions, it becomes easier.
Certainly in the beginning it placed a shadow over it because we were all so looking forward to meeting 126 girls, and now we're one less. And it's certainly placed a stronghold on all of our hearts, making us treasure the friendships that we make here even more and treasure our time here even more. And not just our time at Miss World, but our time on this planet.
I believe in women's rights, and I believe that women are equal to men. I believe that I have the right to participate in this beauty pageant, and I think that as a representative of England and, as a representative of your country or Miss World, you really are trying to portray yourself as a good role model to young women.
And on that note, we conclude this edition of Primetime Sunrise. It was an absolute pleasure having you with us. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Katharina Chang. Have a beautiful day ahead.
Hotline 0114 896 896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.